And there are many methods that are used today for obtaining a temperature reading. We have the forehead. This is called a temporal thermometer. We also have the one that goes into the ear, and that's called the tympanic. So that's another method. And you might even see offices that use what's called the tempadot. The tempadots are really these little, really thin, disposable plastic devices that are placed under the patient's tongue. And the dots on here will start to turn colors. And I don't know how close you can see this, but you can see that it starts at, I believe, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100. Or does it start at 95? Oh, it goes this way. Anyways, a little bit more difficult to read. We'll probably talk about this a little more in class. You may not see these too often, but if you do, we'll talk about that in class. Let's go to the temporal thermometer reading. This is a lot easier to use. It's an electronic device, and it's pretty simple. You'll have a digital display with an on and off switch here. It's on the inside. There is no on and off switch on the back side. You do have a little light here that will light up, and I want to talk about that. If you can draw the camera in closely, when I press this button really hard, you're going to see it say SCN, which means scan. That's when you actually want to have this placed on the forehead, already scanning. So I'm going to turn it off, and I'm going to press the button again, and you can see that when I press the button and it says scan, from the back side you can see the light turn on. So that's kind of important to remember. You don't actually have to look at the display to know when to begin scanning. Now, another thing I want to draw your attention to is the top here. This is the part that's actually going to come into contact with the patient's forehead. And I want you to make sure to really make good contact with the forehead. Also, most offices have what we call a sheath to put over this per patient. So it's just a plastic covering that you would put on and then scan a patient's forehead, and then you would take that sheath off and throw it away. Or sometimes they'll just have you clean it with an alcohol prep in between patients. But as I said, you want that opening that's going to be reading the temperature on the patient's forehead, you want it to be flush. Now, flush means that it's actually completely every part of that circle, you see the circle there, is actually in contact with the forehead, and you want it to stay flush all the way through. If it's tilted like this, then it's going to start measuring the air in that space between the surface and the skin. And you know, that may be different because room temperature is different than body temperature. So what you're going to do is you're actually going to place this on the patient's forehead, right in the middle of the forehead. And while you're standing on the back side, you're going to hold it like this, place it on the forehead. You're going to press the button when you see the light turn on, and I'm going to do this backwards. When you see the light turn on, you're going to start scanning it, and you're just going to go across. It's going to scan the temperature of the patient's forehead and give you an average, and you can see that mine was 97.1. Pretty easy to read, okay? The next one I want to talk about is the Tympanic, which is this device. You've probably seen these before. They have a digital readout here, and to turn it on, you press this button, and you'll see that you have the display turned on. Also, on the back side, you're going to see a start button. So once you turn it on, you're going to press the start button to begin measuring the temperature inside of the ear. But before you do that, you're going to actually put what we call a sheath, a disposable sheath on, and they're inside. You just press the tip into the sheath inside, and it'll pick up one of these plastic covers. You're then going to place it in the patient's ear. We call that the auditory canal. But you have to pull, for adults, you have to pull the ear up and back. So you're going to pull up, a slight upward tug and back, place it in, and you're going to press that start button. You're going to hold that button until you hear the beep. It'll have a small beep at the beginning. When it picks up the temperature, it's going to have a longer beep, and then you're going to read the temperature. And you can see that this one says 98.9. A little bit different. Again, as with all electronic devices, if the number you get doesn't make sense, like let's say it shows normal temperature is 98.6, but let's say that a patient's temperature measures 95, which is too cold. and the patient doesn't seem like they're cold. You have to really be suspicious of electronic devices, and if the number doesn't make sense, just take it again. Maybe something went wrong, maybe the machine wasn't ready when you press the button, maybe it wasn't flush to the skin. There are a number of things that can be wrong, but I just don't want you to accept numbers because that's what it says. I want you to think about the number. If the number you receive makes sense, then that's the number you can record. It doesn't hurt to take it again. With this particular device, there's a trigger right here. So if you can just hold it kind of like a gun, you're going to hold it placing your index finger over the trigger, and then just come to the trash can, and you're just going to pull on that trigger, and the plastic sheath will release. All right, any questions, please let us know. Don't forget that in class you're going to have 15 full sets of vitals. Thank you.